Gentlemen, Mr. Daniel Miller and Mr. Gareth Jones here at Superbooth for for your actual for the Sunroof performance. Is this not the premiere performance? Is your second or third?
Second performance.
Yeah, second performance live. Yeah. Obviously, we've done loads of performances for ourselves for many decades.
Absolutely. So this is a new project for you guys. I mean, Gareth, you were telling me a little earlier that it was pretty much improvised. And it feels like a kind of this is a new departure for you, Daniel, as well. I think, really.
Well, playing live modular. I've done a few live modular gigs on my own over the last few years. I mean, modular is not new to my life.
No, of course. Yeah.
But us playing live together in front of people, other human beings, is definitely, apart from the one show that we did a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's exciting.
So what's the approach you're taking? I mean, how are you putting the thing together? Is there a concept? Is there a sort of philosophy that you follow while you're creating, making, and?
Well, essentially, it's an improvised set. We got together for a brief rehearsal yesterday where we did a bit of patching and a bit of just mucking around, and so we got some patches in place, and we just start playing and see how it goes.
So what's the flow? Because Daniel, your system here is you're sourcing a lot of the material that Gareth is then manipulating. Is that?
That's what we're doing currently. I mean, like Daniel, I've done a few solo modular things, but I've fallen in love with sampling again in my life, big time. So I built a little kind of sampling and looping rack, which has been incredibly inspiring and awesomely productive for me. So, I don't know, about we're recording our second EP as Sunroof at the moment, and that's also live improvisation sessions, and if one's good we use it, and if it's not we just throw it away. But about 3 or 4 sessions ago I bought my sampling rack to Daniel, and we started experimenting with this new flow, which is great for us anyway, because part of improvise, we're always trying to do new stuff to excite each other and turn each other on, so.
Yeah. It's pretty hard to repeat yourself on modular, but it's even better when you're constantly trying new things and you're even less likely to repeat yourself.
Is that a conscious thing? I mean, because obviously, Daniel, I mean, your history precedes you. Both of you guys have been involved in, some of the biggest electronic and other cultural musical events in our time. So which require quite a lot of structure or certainly a lot of organisation to see. So is this like a kind of you kicking back against that and just kind of freeing your minds, as it were?
Well, yeah, actually, that's really how we started. Was I think when we were working together on the first album we worked together on, which was Depeche Mode's Construction Time Again. We were obviously working with great songs, but songs that are structured. And then maybe when the band went home, in the evening, Gareth and I just started mucking around a bit, just as like a head cleaner, really. And that's kind of how it started, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that is like obviously 4 decades ago, and so. It's really going back to carrying on from our roots together, making sound together, and in fact there's even another up until recently, I've not been capturing sounds from Daniel's rig. I've been making my own sounds, and we've been jamming, if you like, in a slightly more conventional way. But in a way, this is even more back to the roots, because a lot of what we did back in the garden studio in the 80s was Daniel would muck around on a synth, and I was a young engineer, and I would muck around with the effects.
Right, okay.
So, obviously this is very... Hopefully it's a bit more sophisticated and mature than what we were
definitely
doing.
More mature, yeah.
What we were doing then.
About 40 years more mature.
And it is more sophisticated because it's way more textured and complex. But still, there's a real connection to, as you said, to where we started.
So do you find that both of you, because I mean these, there's no denying these are complicated technical pieces of equipment to use, compared to traditional synthesizers. I mean, I know both of you are very au fait with that sort of thing, but do you think that your instinct for how they work and how they get you where you want is continuing to improve? Are you still learning all of this stuff, or?
Yeah, I personally all the time, you know.
Yeah, me too. Big time.
But on the various different levels, you know, on a module by module level, there's modules I've had for a few years that I've used quite a lot, that I'm constantly finding new ways of using. But then on a kind of the other level is the sort of level of being quite free form and trying to trust, well, when we're working together, is trusting each other on a musical level and trusting ourselves, you know, and recording a lot of things, you know.
Yeah.
Which I haven't done for years, and then Gareth kind of really pushed me on that, I have to say. So when I'm working on my own, I'm recording a lot. You know.
I suppose the thing is, you know, instinctively in the job, your day job, which is, you know, the history of Mute, you know, you've had, I guess there's a lot of, that sounds great, that doesn't, you know, you have to make those decisions. You're making quality decisions about other people's work.
Yeah.
Are you able to do that for your own work just as effectively?
Yes, but we've got a structure.
You can answer that.
Well, we've got, because we had a plan, Daniel had a plan actually, based on some of his street photography experiences. We record shit and then we don't listen to it for months.
Yeah.
So we don't listen to it the next day or anything. We deliberately put it away and we may do maybe 10 sessions and then we start to listen. We've just started listening. I think we've got about 8 sessions for the EP. Or 16, we probably would do two tracks each session. We've just started listening now.
Oh, that's interesting. So effectively, you probably don't even remember who did what.
Exactly.
Or what.
Yeah, and we've forgotten how we felt and who had a hangover or who was feeling really refreshed. You know, whatever.
Yeah, and
so
with street photography, in my experience, street photography is like you take the pictures, you don't look at them for a while. Because because especially with street photography, you're kind of quite close in, and you're part of you're part of the picture in a way, and you want to remove yourself from that in your mind when you're judging the picture. You don't want to think about, well, it was a great experience. You want to actually look at the picture.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So you, by removing the memory of it effectively, then you come at it fresh.
Yeah.
And then you come at it just as a piece of music, and you think, oh, this is. I mean, to be honest.
What's that, us?
Yeah, I'm positively impressed most of the time. It's really, my evil critic that sits on my shoulder and for my own work is my worst enemy, and so I come to it expecting to listen and think, oh, this is terrible. But it's most of the time it's not like that with distance.
Yeah, that's great. Interesting idea.
For decades, I would make something in the studio, muck about, and then listen to it the next day and think, oh, it's shit, and then just bin it for no reason, because I didn't have the distance.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So,
also, sorry, I just wanted to add, you spoke about the complexity of these systems. I mean, for me, and I'm sure for Daniel as well, it's like an exploratory journey. I mean, we can't actually play keyboards. That must be obvious, I think, by
There's
now.
no keyboard. There's no keyboard.
It's not that we've kind of gone into some weird world because we've abandoned our keyboard chops. Yeah. We haven't got any keyboard chops.
No, never.
Yeah,
so,
Yeah.
So
this is your system, Daniel.
Yeah.
I would reliably inform that it's grown a little beyond the initial concept of simple and smaller. But it's what's your basic sound source? Where are you starting with the kind of?
Well, I suppose my two main sound sources are the further generator,
Right.
and the Clavis twin waves.
Okay.
And then additionally, I've got a 2 HP sine, which I use mostly for modulating modulating the filter it is in this case. And then on the more percussive side, I've got the BIA, the noise engineering. I got the 2 HP kick.
Right.
I use this great old long discontinued Pittsburgh generator, which I'm actually not using at the moment, which I usually put into the natural gate for great percussion sounds. I might still try and do that. Yeah. And then just in case I need something else, I've got the Pico voice here as an extra sound source. Because we're layering so much stuff, I don't want to get too deep. I don't want to put on too much.
Right, so is that the kind of concept that you start with? You kind of start with something that pricks both your ears and you look at each other and go, right, let's start working with that, or does it just...
it just flows into it.
Yeah, we just start. We don't judge at all.
No.
Right.
It's not like we just start, tonight we'll just start, and when we do our recording sessions, we just start. We patch. I mean, when we do the recording sessions, we're usually unpatched.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to bore everyone with like 2 hours of patching before we started.
No, exactly.
And I think to be honest, that you're in the right venue where a lot of people would appreciate that, but maybe not everybody.
Yeah.
So, and this then goes into, this looks like a mixing system.
Well, that's a you've got
sequencing, right,
that's
sorry.
the Vector 512 sequencer,
Yeah.
which I absolutely adore. This is a new one that I've recently got. I'm experimenting, which is a very weird but amazing sequencer, trigger sequencer, basically called the Flux by IO Labs. And then there's quite a lot of stuff I'm not actually using. Then there's a FX Aid, Reverb, Pico, DSP, and then my main mixer here, which is the Bifaco Hex Mix.
And this has always been something quite difficult, isn't it, to kind of achieve the mixing, the dynamic performance mixing in your rack. It's like a challenge. So that's where you've settled.
At the moment, it works for us really good. And in fact, I'm coming stereo out here into an echo a return. So I'm coming stereo out. So obviously, I'm taking clocks from Daniel, and I'm taking an audio, an aux, a pre-send aux is going into my recording, and I can record that, Ableton clip style in the Bitbox Micro. I've got a looper, 2 HP looper running here with a freezer on the output, and it's going through a modulated filter stereo thing. And then again, the same audio feeds going into the Morphogene. Right. And at the moment, this is kind of the 2 HP loop is working like Frippertronics mode, and I'm triggering it every 2 bars, and it puts another layer on, and the underlying layers die away. So, in fact, I'm glad you'd mentioned that because it was in the wrong mode, but now it's in the right mode.
I'm so glad that I could have helped.
So that's cool. And then same with the Morphogene. I'm just hitting the Morphogene every 2 bars and making a 2-bar loop where I'm sampling both the incoming and the output of the Morphogene together,
Fantastic.
And so, it's very, very textured, very granular. I can flip octaves around on the sampler. It's loads of fun.
So, very quickly, I know you're going to be on in a bit. I don't want to take too much more of your time. When you've got an EP in the works, when are you planning on getting this stuff out into the world?
A&R were asking the same question, actually, weren't they, the other day?
You're not self-A&Ring? Okay.
No.
Well, I mean, it's we've got to select the tracks first,
right?
And we'd like to do a vinyl simultaneous release, and that always takes a long time.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Are we thinking of doing vinyl for the EP?
Yeah, definitely.
Great, fantastic news.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, have a fantastic gig. It's lovely to see you here.
Yeah, great to see you too, Nick.
Yeah, thank you, Nick.